Bienvenue tous. It's time for our international press review. Chris Moore is here. Chris, where would you like to start?
Well, Mark, as you would expect, the international press is very much dominated by the Middle East peace talks in Annapolis. Very striking cover, as usual, from the UK paper The Independent. They're in pretty pessimistic mood, actually. They say the whole thing is probably mission impossible. They're very scathing about the three main players as well. They say Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Olmert presides over a crumbling coalition. Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas is the leader of only half his people. George Bush is mistrusted and unpopular. And they're really holding out more hope for peace from the European Donors Conference, which is slated for Paris next month. They say that could offer economic hope for the Palestinians, which is the key to their future. Centre-right Israeli paper The Jerusalem Post, unsurprisingly leading on the same story. They're pretty cautious as well. Their headline says, peace summit around the corner, but deep rifts still remain. Left-leaning Israeli paper Haaretz is pretty happy about the participation of Arab countries in Annapolis, especially Syria. And it says that Arab nations are committed to treating Israel-Palestine as a political conflict, not as an ideological one. And it calls on Israel to do the same. Lebanese paper L'Orient Le Jour has a light-hearted take on the whole thing. They've got a picture of two mugs on their front cover. These mugs are being sold by a Palestinian Palestinian souvenir salesman in Gaza. The idea is that if the peace talks go badly, you simply smash the mugs and get George Bush to pick up the bill.
I was going to say, when you said mugs, I thought you meant George Bush and somebody else, actually. So Bush's initiative likely to follow that of Jimmy Carter and Bill Clinton, who got the two sides together, but it never really went anywhere. That's the kind of feeling in the papers.
It's not overly pessimistic, taking a sort of across-the-board look at the international press, but at the same time, they're pretty reserved, I'd say.
And of course, major issue, if only one half of the Palestinians are there, how do you negotiate anything with them? It's a difficult thing. What's next?
French stories. The French press, dominated by Monsieur Sarkozy's trip to China. Catholic Daily La Croix leads on, treats it as a business story. It says Sarkozy looks to seduce the Chinese market. They have a picture of Sarkozy looking seductive in front of the Terracotta Army.
Obviously, massive deals for Airbus, massive deals for
exactly,
nuclear, aerospace, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, but of course, as always with big business, there's a worry that the French president, does he have a conscience? Often the voice of conscience here in Paris is Libération. And they worry that Sarkozy may be ignoring human rights here. They say our friend China, with a big question mark on their front cover, saying that this country is not somewhere that respects human rights.
OK, human rights, big question. One interesting thing, they've done a deal on green issues, but obviously that's not been covered there, I suppose. Next, Chris, next.
Staying in France, where there are echoes of a story that went around the world in 2005, violence in the French suburbs. This seems to have started up again, as we heard in the news there, with the unrest following the burning of cars following the death of two youths. You've got Le Parisien there.
Le Parisien there, you see that.
A housing state catches fire, and obviously quite a poignant image there of the motorcycle.
Riding. Yeah.
That's all over the French press. Libération, Le Monde, really wondering whether this is going to be like 2005. Of course, there's a big resonance, two youths dying after an incident with the police. That's what kicked off the rioting in 2005 as well.
Which, of course, went to almost every major city in France. Chris, could you go to your last story? We've got like 30 seconds left.
Certainly can. It's a pretty picture story. An American paper, USA Today, has a story about the monarch butterfly. I'm not an expert on insects, as I know you are, Mark, but this creature is one of nature's wonders. It migrates 3,400 miles every year across Canada, the US and Mexico, but its habitat in Mexico is threatened by illegal logging, and the USA Today paper salutes the Mexican government for a $4.6 million eco-tourism campaign to save its habitat.
You mentioned that. When I was a kid, I lived in Toronto, and we used to get lots of monarch butterflies in our garden. They were absolutely beautiful creatures.
They look nice in the paper.
So anything that protects them has got to be good by me anyway. Fantastic. So, Chris, thank you very much for that. I'll keep the papers. You go and get on with some more work, 'cause I know you're dying to. You're watching France 24. Stay with us.